Caden Campbell, grade 6. Jaliyah Epps, grade 8. And Quenisha Woodford, grade 8. So if we can get a round of applause for all our spelling certificates. And I do have certificates for our winners. I will make sure that they end up at the elementary school and middle school so that they can be distributed. The second recognition today is from the Virginia School Board Association. It is School Board Clerk Appreciation Week, February 14th through 18th. So we all want to say thank you so much, Ms. McConville, for all of the services that you provide us, both the school board and the division in general. So thank you so much. And we do have a wonderful, wonderful certificate for you.
Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. This is also VSBA School Board Members Appreciation Month. February is. So we want to say thank you to you. So the VSBA has designated the month of February as School Board Appreciation Month. The month-long observance is an opportunity for your school and community to build a stronger understanding of the crucial role school boards assume in a representative democracy. School boards voluntarily tackle the enormous job of governing multi-million-dollar public school divisions while preserving the core of our democratic values. This year's theme is Building the Future of Public Education, reflects the partnership of the Virginia School Boards Association with local, state, and federal leaders on behalf of all of our students. So we would like to recognize, and again, thank you so much, Miss Lucy Carson, our chairperson. And I have a certificate for you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I will come out and walk around. Miss Beulah Womack, our vice chair. Dr. Timothy Corby from Lee District. Mr. Douglas Farley, who is joining us via telephone. So we'll just put it there on the table for him. Dr. Peter Gurr from the Farmville District. Miss Susan Kimbrough from the Farmville District. Thank you. Ms. Elzora Stiff from the Prospect District. Thank you. And Dr. Lawrence Varner from the Farmville District. So thank you all very much for everything that you do for us. Thank you. So our last recognition is really an introduction, a very brief introduction. As you know, we have an executive liaison provided to us by the Virginia Department of Education. And last month I provided you with an update saying that there would be a change. Our change is Dr. Sammy Shields. Dr. Shields, will you just stand there? Dr. Shields, thank you so much. Dr. Shields spent time with us a few years ago, and he has worked with our elementary school, our middle school staff, and we are thrilled that he is here today. We spent all morning working on different ways to make things better for our division. We talked about staff retention, we talked about instruction, we talked about instructional strands that we need to focus on so that our students can make progress. So it was a very, very productive meeting. So again, Dr. Shields, thank you very much for being here, and thank you for supporting us through this process.
Mm-hmm. Welcome, Dr. Shields. All right, as we move along our agenda. I'm sorry.
We need to approve.
Okay, that's fair. All right, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Approved. The agenda.
Yes.
Yes, sir. All in favor?
Who made the motion?
I did.
Okay.
I second.
I second. Ms. Womack.
And it was unanimous?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And now we're at action items. Dr. Johnson?
So we approved the agenda,
Yeah,
now
so
we
we
need,
approve the agenda, then we need to do the consent.
Consent
Approve
agenda.
it. Okay, my bad, I'm sorry, I apologize for that.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we need to approve the consent agenda. Is that correct?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as listed.
a second.
And second. All in favor? Thank you for keeping me on track here. Appreciate it. All right, now we're at number 9. For the appropriation of dual enrollment.
I do believe that Ms. Jones is going to be with us today. We are going to recommend that the school board request from the Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors to appropriate additional funds to the school operating budget for the 21-22 school year. Ms. Jones, would you please share the specifics with us?
Yes, good afternoon. Mrs. Carson, school board chair, school board members, and Dr. Johnson. As Dr. Johnson mentioned, I am here to seeking approval of appropriations to the local operating fund. We have 2 appropriations and they are small amounts. One is in the amount of $2,212.38. This is a new grant. It's called the Dual Enrollment Alignment Grant. And the other one is additional Title III money for the 21-22 school year for $5.37, which makes a total of $2,217.75, which will give our grand total operating budget of $28,701,871.98.
Any questions from Ms. Jones about that?
So we are requesting, again, that you allow us to request from the Prince Edward County Board of Supervisors to appropriate additional funds to our school operating budget for the 21-22 school year.
So moved.
So move and second. All right, all in favor?
Unanimous.
Ms. Jones, would you continue with the ESSER funding, please?
Yes, again, I am here seeking approval from you all to ask the Board of Supervisors to appropriate additional CARES Act funding. It's called ARP Act ESSER 3 School Division Awards for addressing unfinished learning before and after school programs and summer programs. This grant is in the total amount of $1,114,577, which will make the CARES Act funding budget $9,641,699.40.
Any question?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
A second.
Second by Dr. Clerk. All right, all in favor?
Unanimous.
Thank you.
That's it? Thank you, Ms. Jones. All right. Next item on the agenda, face masks.
Yes, we just wanted to, currently, everyone in Prince Edward County, our staff and students, continue to wear their face masks. As all of you, I'm sure, know, that the state courts put a, what is the appropriate word? Injunction, thank you. Put an injunction on the governor's executive order number 2, so that currently what we were doing, we can continue to do because the issues have not been resolved. However, our board has not discussed more recently the issue of face masks, so we wanted to include it on the agenda to give our board members an opportunity to share thoughts or comments regarding face masks.
Mr.
I listened to the Board of Supervisors meeting last night, and I listened intently to Dr. Allman speaking about the circumstances, situations, cases, etc. here in the county. And she mentioned that yes, we are to some degree trending down. But she was very cautious about saying, drop the mask. So after listening to her, I am in favor of what Dr. Johnson is saying, to stay the course with the mask right now. That was mainly to some degree her recommendation.
Ms. Kimbrough? Pete? I'm sorry. Peter, and
Okay.
then Ms. Kimbrough.
Last night, I was at this Board of Supervisors meeting with Dr. Johnson and Mr. Jones. I also heard her said, okay, and she mentioned right now it's coming down, but she said she still encouraged people to wear masks. So because it's not always. So I think all of staffs and the students still need to wear masks.
Ms. Kimbrough?
Over the last week or two, states that one would have never thought might be dropping their mask mandates in their schools have. And, but I agree with Dr. Allman. When you look at Prince Edward County's numbers, we are still in the highest risk level you can be. Purple, I mean, like it's off the chart purple. And so I am also 100% in favor of continuing our mask policy as it stands. However, I know I got an email yesterday from the Virginia State, our association, that there's legislation being introduced currently as we speak that would take away the right of our school boards to make such policies. Would also take away the right of us being able to close in the event like we had to a couple of weeks ago due to COVID staffing issues. So I would encourage everyone here in this room and anyone who is interested in Prince Edward County Schools to contact our senator, state senator, because I think we probably will need to revisit this mask issue in August or July. Hopefully our numbers will be less than a case a day. I mean, that's the prayer, but right now they're not. And so I also support continuing to wear masks.
If I may piggyback on what Ms. Kimbrough is saying, what she's mentioning is a legislature, whatever you call it. And what they're asking for people to do is to vote no on the item so that it won't move into law. So they provided some information for you to how to contact, who to contact, etc. But the key for that announcement was to vote no on it.
Anyone else comments?
I'd like to make a motion that we continue.
Oh, sorry. Anybody?
I had mixed feelings about it. I think our thrust should be on getting people vaccinated. The effectiveness of cloth masks with this variant is minimal, if any. What good we're doing in the long run, who knows? I'm certainly not going to vote in opposition to the mask, but I think we all need to look at both sides and keep an open mind, especially with what's going on in the courts right now.
Dr. Corbett and then yes.
How do we have some data on how our vaccinations are with our students now? Are they with this age group? Are they for Prince Edward County? Are they taking up on the vaccines?
Yeah.
Dr. Allman talked about that. Yes, whereas people are being vaccinated and in all age groups, but not nearly enough. is what I heard Dr. Ullman say. And so I have to echo Dr. Gurr's points as well as Ms. Kimbrough's points and Ms. Stiff's points. Not nearly enough.
Just,
Let's format and then we'll come back. My concern is with the preschoolers and kindergarten children who have not had the injection yet, who may possibly get it, but until that time, I think we need to protect those children. The only protection we have right now is the mask. While we can encourage, and I agree with Dr. Barnes, that we have to encourage the injection, the shots, but they have to have some protection in between. I have no problem with the mask. I think that children really don't have a problem with the mask. I think it's the parents. That's what I think. But kids are very clever, and they go on. But we have to make sure those little ones are protected. Dr. Gordon?
so, in order for the vaccines to become compulsory, would that come from the health department? Is that my
Yes, that has nothing to do with
That
us.
would come from the
We
health
would never,
department. Okay.
yes, we would never travel down that road. We don't have the authority to do that. I just want to make the point that masks are only one mitigating strategy. That we do also still encourage the hand washing, the deep cleaning, the social distancing as much as possible. So I do want to make that point that we are still encouraging and participating in other mitigating strategies as well. To echo Dr. Bonner as well as Dr. Ullman's point that she would say, and I believe that we need to encourage people to receive the vaccine,
Yeah.
recognizing that that is a personal choice, but that is what the recommendation and the push is at this time.
Dr. Bonner?
So I know that,
Hold on, Mr. Farley, just a minute. I'll call on you in just a second as soon as Dr. Bonner finishes, okay?
I know that at least one of the surrounding counties has dropped the mandate. I think 2. I would be very curious if there's a way of finding out what % of those students are not wearing the mask and what their trend is with their COVID cases since their mask mandate has been relaxed. So I know it's not a way. Was it Buckingham?
Charlotte.
Charlotte dropped.
As I was reading the Farmville Herald this morning today, and it was saying that you talked about vaccinations, and that Prince Edward has the lowest number of percentage of people who have been vaccinated. Prince Edward in this region. The rest of them are 40 or 50 or higher, something like that. And I think Prince Edward's was like 44, but it was the lowest one. So, I agree. I think we should encourage people to get vaccinated. But, everybody's just, they have to make up their own mind. So yes, sir.
So I don't know if we've looked into this. So the kids that come to school, they bring their own mask.
Yes, sir.
Is anything offered here?
Yes, sir.
What
If they
are we,
do not have a mask,
uh-huh.
yes, sir.
What are we offering?
The disposable mask, but we also have received some N95 masks.
That's the point I was trying to make, is if we could encourage the KN95s.
Yes.
I doubt if you got the N95s, but the KN95s.
Oh, well, I don't know. I know there's an N and a 95.
Yeah.
You're right. There may be K and 95, but we did receive some of those masks.
So I would be all in favor of that, encouraging that.
Yes.
But the cloth,
Ms. Kimbrough, did you have an answer?
Oh, is it Mr.
Oh, Mr. Farley, thank you, I'm sorry. Mr. Farley, your turn.
I just want to add that, I think a mask have contributed to us being able to keep our schools open. And I think there have been some hidden benefits in not spreading other viruses other than the Omicron and the COVID-19 as well. So I encourage, people that have not been vaccinated. I think there are people that are going to continue to get vaccinated, and the wearing of mask is a small thing that I think people can continue to do at our schools that, is gonna benefit everybody. So, I certainly would vote, to continue that policy as well.
Thank you.
That's all.
Ms. Kimberly?
The VDH, from Richmond issued, their new guidelines back a week or two ago. And in it, it said that they had done studies between those counties that had no mask mandate this whole time and those that did, and that basically there was no statistical difference between the spread. I wondered if we could get a hold of that data, because I find that hard to believe, but if it's true, if that really is true, that there's no discernible difference between school districts that have not been wearing masks and those that have, then maybe we could revisit that. And by the way, 10% of the population in Prince Edward County is from the ages of 5 to 11 is fully vaccinated.
So
10%. 10%. That's as of today. I'm looking it up on the VDH. 10%. So very few of our elementary students. And the population between 12 and 17 is much higher, 42%.
Right.
Almost the same as the adult population in the.
Ms. Kimber, what was the report, please?
I'm sorry?
The report, what was the report?
It's-
The Richmond, something like, that you just mentioned.
The VDA of the
Of Richmond?
Virginia Department of Health issued their new school reopening guidelines, right?
Richmond.
Yes, in Richmond, right after the governor issued his executive order 2. It was like a week later, in January or February, middle of January. And I'll see if I can find it, and if I can, I'll send it to you.
Okay, and I will look for it.
I've got information that says the same thing.
Yes.
I will try to send that to everyone.
Yes.
That would be-
Thank you.
Any other comments from board members? So,
Make a motion to follow, the UTP for this. What's the motion, Dr. Johnson?
That we continue with the practices
Okay.
and including all mitigating strategies, including masks.
So moved. Make it so moved.
okay, then move, have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to number 10, non-action items.
Our first non-action item has to do with our calendar for 22-23. And you have before you a draft. This was, just so that you know how we ended up with this draft, we only have one for you this year. We of course did the public survey. We also, then I had a calendar committee which had representatives from each school level, and also the representatives from my superintendent's advisory, which also includes personnel from all of the various departments. We also had support personnel. Those representatives from the schools also sent out calendar surveys regarding the 22-23 calendar to their staff members, their colleagues. The task was to come up with something that we made sure that there were 180 days, that we had 140 seat hours for our seniors, that we observed certain holidays, and then there were things that staff discussed that were considered non-negotiable, the things that they really liked about last year's calendar. Each level was then sent off to create a calendar. We came back together with the 3 calendars, discussed them, looked at them. Quite frankly, most of them looked identical, with a few tweaks here and there. I took that and created this calendar draft for you. There are a few things that the calendar committee recommended that you don't necessarily see here. So for instance, the holiday, and Dr. Wallace, I would ask that you talk about our waiver very briefly. initially, we thought that because we start before Labor Day, that we had to then offer the day before the holiday as a holiday, so Labor Day. That is not necessarily true because we did receive a waiver. Is that correct, Dr. Wallace?
Good evening, everyone. Yes, ma'am, Dr. Johnson. After further investigation, so the Virginia law changed in 2019. So it's fairly new, okay, so only a couple years old. And it does state that schools that start before Labor Day must attend the Friday, or must allow the Friday before to be a holiday, unless the division was granted a waiver prior to Labor Day during the 2011-2012 school year. So when you go back to the 2011-2012 waiver list, Prince Edward did have a waiver, and that means we are not required to close the Friday immediately preceding Labor Day, as it is in your current draft. So if we did that, and like, in other words, we could decide to come on that Friday, and that would give us 90 days in the first semester, and we could take another day away from the second semester if you chose to do that. But because we had the waiver in 11-12, and it was because of weather, so, you know, just to refresh anyone's memory, the only way that you got waivers previously was due to missing 10 or more days in a calendar year due to weather conditions. And Prince Edward must have during that time and 10 years prior, because I certainly wasn't here in 2011-12, but I know a lot of divisions in this region had that same waiver. So we did fall under that waiver in 11-12, and so therefore we can start more than 14 days prior to Labor Day, and we don't have to come that Friday immediately preceding Labor Day.
Okay, so in addition to that, the committee did not, we had teacher work days. I added virtual option for teachers because one of the concerns was after parent-teacher conferences, coming back the next day for a full day of instruction was oftentimes very, very difficult, so we added virtual options there. If you'd also notice, election day, we have a half a day, and part of that was because we took that holiday election day, because of the Labor Day issue that we found out because we have the waiver we don't have to attend to. So in theory, that could also be given back. If you look at the winter break, that's a little different. Early dismissal would be on the 20th instead of just starting on the 19th. Instead of the 16th being the last day for that semester, it would actually be the 20th. So we made there's the need for little tweaks here and there on the calendar. The way it is presented to you right now, it's 89 days in the first semester, 91 days in the second semester. This is the opportunity for your first read. I will bring it back next month if we don't vote on it today, which I'm not asking for a vote. It is the first read, but I will bring it back next month for a final vote.
I have a question. We're not doing the intercession?
The teachers did not, based on the surveys and the comments, intercession was not recommended.
I'm sorry. Ms. Kimball.
Well, I looked over the calendar really carefully before tonight, and I want to say thank you to the calendar committees and your staff for coming up with an extremely teacher-friendly calendar. I think we heard loud, if y'all looked at the comments that were made in the calendar survey by the teachers, the one biggest thing that they asked for was time. And this calendar gives them time. And what I really like about it is that you've designated which days will be professional development days. They're not listed as work days / professional development. A work day is a work day, professional development is professional development. One thing I wondered, normally, as I recall, that first week of August during those work days, there normally is professional development, is there not?
Yes.
There will.
It feels like that it would be helpful to the teachers if we went ahead and designated from the 1st through the 8th, which days those would be. And they might not necessarily have to be the same for every school. So it's my understanding at the elementary school, they really need, especially prior to open house, time in their classrooms to get their rooms ready, so that it might not make sense to try to have a PD on the 3rd when open house is on the 4th, but that might be okay for the middle school and high school. But it feels like for planning purposes for the teachers, it would be helpful to know ahead of time when they are not going to get to be in their classrooms. The other thing is that on these work days that are not virtual, the ones that are in the building, it's my hope that the administration at each of the 3 schools would try to hold and I know it says on here, on teacher work days at the discretion of the superintendent, sometimes they will have to have school-based meetings, and I understand that, but the teachers do stay late every Tuesday, and it would be so helpful. I mean, I think one of the things that we're hearing from all teachers everywhere, and especially here, is that they just need time.
Yes.
And if they have to spend 3 hours in a meeting, then they've taken up nearly their whole day that they could have been spending in their room.
Yes. To speak to the August 1st through 5th, as well as the 8th, what we could easily do is add an addendum to that so that it doesn't become too cumbersome.
Right.
On this calendar, what we would do is just add an addendum per school, a one-pager, really to designate which days would be work days and which days would be professional development days during that week, and that would be easy enough for us to do.
But this tool should be used when we're recruiting. It's the most teacher-friendly calendar in this area, and I think it shows that we do care about our teachers and that we want to make sure they have enough time in their classrooms to do what they need to do. Anyway, hats off. I think it's a great calendar.
Thank you.
Other board member comments?
What is the virtual option again? How does it work?
Virtual option for teacher workday. Sometimes teachers are working on grades, for instance. They don't necessarily need to. This gives them the option of working from home to do their grades or coming into the building to do their grades. And so that's what the virtual option is, that they can work from home or they can come in. And it's at this point, we've done so much virtually that it's very easy for them to work from home and still put in their grades and do what they have to do. Some teachers actually like to come into the building. They find it less disruptive, and they like to work in their classrooms. So it gives a teacher an option of which one they choose.
Other comments? Board members, questions?
Okay, so we will make a few tweaks to make sure that we have covered everything, and I will look at some comments that were shared with me, and then we will come back next month with an addendum as well as any tweaks that need to be made. I suspect they will not be major tweaks, however, just here and there. Make sure we counted everything. Are there any other recommendations before? If you have any other recommendations or thoughts, because this is just the first read, please let me know so that we're prepared for next month, so that we will be able to discuss and vote. Okay.
So something along that same line, has decisions been made when we'll do makeups this year?
Yes, that actually went out in an email, I believe, to all PECPS, but if it didn't go to all PECPS, it didn't go to all PECPS, then maybe it went to the schools?
And to principal.
It went to
Principals and
principals?
supervisors.
Okay, because I know I saw it, so we will make sure that we send that out to all PECPS. But yes, it's been done, literally it's been done, so I need to break myself a reminder.
So we'll get that from you.
Yeah, probably Ms. Lee will send it out to all PCPS tomorrow. I know it's been sent because I glanced at it. So I just will make sure that she sends it to all PCPS. Thank you, Dr. Wallace. She sent it to principals. Sid makeup. Info.
Any other comments? Questions? Okay. We'll go on to the next item.
Thank you. Let's see where
Number.
I'm sorry.
No,
Those
it's
choice of mine. 10.
B.
Oh, the honor roll. Yes. So every year, VSBA, Virginia School Board Association, gives school boards the opportunity to select businesses that have helped them, assist them, been a real partner to them throughout the year. It has been our past practice that we, just because we are here, we have nominated and brought that to the board to say, this is who we have chosen. You discuss it, and then we move forward with the resolution. This year we decided to look at it a little differently and say to the board, if there are businesses, and we clearly know of some businesses that we would like to select, and when I say the we, I'm talking about our internal staff. But perhaps there are organizations that you would like to see recognized before we move forward. So we are changing how we address this and say, please give us your nominations. If there are more than 3, then you can collectively vote on them. If there are less than 3, then you can vote on the ones that you have presented, and then we can come up with the others that we can also discuss. So instead of coming to you saying, hey, these are the groups that have done X, Y, and Z for us, we are saying to you, if you have nominations or you know of organizations or have worked with specific schools or principals or whatever the case may be, you have ideas around the business honor roll, send them to us. I would ask that you send them to us or that we discuss this next month. So I would ask that you send Ms. McConville your thoughts and ideas before the next board meeting so that we are prepared to discuss them. And I would ask that you be prepared to, in a sentence or two, share why you selected that particular business so that we are all clear. And then we'll move forward clearly before the April 1st deadline to make sure that we get the resolution and we'll get it signed. We'll run around and get it signed, no worries. It'll be done on time.
Okay. Any questions about this from board members? All right, well, we're gonna move on to number 11, information items. I asked, this to be on the agenda. We have a code of conduct for board members, for school board members, and we usually look at it every year. We have one from the VSBA, Code of Conduct for School Board Members, and then you have one that we had tailored to Prince Edward County Public Schools, school board members. You take a few minutes and you will look at that, or if you haven't, please do so, because it will be a reminder that about what we're doing and what our purpose is as school board members. So it's a lot of the same language there, but we haven't done it. We did it last year. We need to do it again this year. We need to sign it if this is what we, as Prince Edward County Public Schools school board members, the code of conduct that we need to follow as we are in our meetings and elsewhere, because we represent the school and wherever we go in our communities, and the things we say and what we do.
Excuse me.
All right, you want to look, if you looked at it, You had time to look at it over the time since you had your board packet. And if before we will need to have that signed. Okay? So we will need to get that done. It would be nice to get it done tonight. Do you have a blank one? Tonight? Okay, well, we done. We'll get this thing together.
This is the previous.
Yeah. Ms. Kimbrough, you
Well,
have a
I
question?
just,
thought-
recently, I was, looking at the differences between the two, and I
Mhm.
wanna make sure that, it looks to me like the biggest difference is number 3, where, VSBA says that I will come to all board meetings.
Mhm.
Or number 2, I will attend scheduled board meetings. Ours says I'll make every effort to. Is that the biggest difference between the two, or only difference that I can see?
Yeah, I
Okay,
think so.
so just making sure.
Yes, basically, that's the only thing that I remember. And while we're on that part, we talked about protocols and procedures in our October, training session with the VSBA. And I think we need to make sure that we go back and look at those, because there are a couple on there that maybe we're not paying attention to. So I will be glad to send those to you by email and let you, and check a few of them, so you can look at that, to be sure that we're doing what we should be doing. These are things we voted on, we came up with, and to be sure that we're following those procedures and protocols in our meetings and elsewhere. Okay? I will send those out to you. I know you already have them, because the VSBA sent them right after the training we did in October. But I just want to point out a couple of things on those that you should be aware of. All right? So, you see my name on the email. That's what it is. All right? Thank you. That's all. All right, we'll move on. B, academic discussion.
Yes, our first academic presentation today has to do with CTE, Career and Technical Information. And we have today Mr. Warman, who is the assistant principal, one of the assistant principals at the high school, and Ms. McCoy Hicks, who is the principal at the high school. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Johnson. We're going to give you an overview of the status at present in terms of CTE and the industry credentialing that we have. As you know, we test in 3 different areas for our students. We test with the NCRC, the WISE testing, and MOS testing. Mr. Warman is going to talk to you about the specific data, not just where we are now, but where we were last year, and also with pre-COVID in those specified areas, okay? And where we intend to be towards the end of the 2022 school year.
Good evening, everyone. So our first year's worth of data comes from the 2019-2020 school year. And just going through these numbers real quick, the NCRC, which for those of you that may not be familiar with it, it is the National Career Readiness Certification Testing. And it basically gives an idea to future employers or potential employers that students are able to successfully apply for a job, interview for a job, and get that said job that they're applying for, and then maintain that throughout. This has actually been a huge help to Prince Edward County. This last year, we received the official work ready status community with these NCRC tests from a majority of our students here taking and passing this test. So that's been a huge benefit to our local economy. But looking at the breakdown, you can see the NCRC for 2019-2020, we had 56 testers. We only tested in the first semester because we were shut down in March. And the NCRC work keys testing did not allow us to test virtually, so we weren't able to test in this spring. Okay? And then going across to 2020, 2021, we also were not able to test the first semester of that school year because, again, no virtual options, and we were not in here. We were remote or hybrid. And so we did not test the first semester. And this semester, this first semester of this school year, we have tested 35 so far. All 35 of those testers are seniors who were in need of industry credentials for their graduation requirements. This semester, we are looking at 118 students to test. We will gather the last remaining seniors that were unable to make this test session, and then we will also add in the juniors for their on-time graduation, their cohort, to make sure they satisfy their industry credential as well for their graduation. So trying to play ahead, try to be one step ahead. The WISE testing, this is the certification test, credentialing test associated with our economics and personal finance course. Okay, so we had 104 testers. That too for 2019, 2020 was just the first semester because, again, of being remote and not virtually allowed to test. 2020, 2021, we had 95 testers. The percentage rate, pass rate dropped a little bit. This semester, this school year, this fall, we've only tested one set of students. We had 59 total testers, and we are going to be adding another 37 testers with the 3 classes that we have this semester of economics and personal finance. So that total number will be back up to about 97. And then our Microsoft Office Specialist certification. This is the certification that goes along with our ITE 115, ITE 215 course, which up until this current semester has been taught through Southside. And one of the drawbacks to that is that Southside does not necessarily push the industry credential test as much as we would here at the high school. So that's kind of a drawback. However, we now have a teacher here on campus who is qualified, certified to teach that program. And he will, once they finish their course in the spring, will encourage his testers, which are 15 students that are enrolled in that class right now. He will encourage all of them to test, and hopefully that number will rise as well.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
The NCRC
Yes, ma'am.
testers 35, pass rate 71.4. And I understand you to say that they are seniors,
Yes, ma'am.
which suggests to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that all of them did not pass.
Correct.
So what happens with those seniors that did not pass? Will they have an opportunity to retest?
Yes, ma'am. So those seniors that did not pass this first semester, they are incorporated into that 118 that will test this semester as well. In addition to the juniors, it's a junior heavy test session this semester, but we do have the seniors that weren't able to either pass or that did not show up for the test session to give them that opportunity as well. And we also have a English teacher who is working with those seniors that did not pass. This test is a series of 3 tests. Most of the students that failed only one of the tests. They passed the other 2. So we have a teacher who will pull them out and work with them, tutor them in that particular area, and to get them back up. So when we do a retest session, they should be ready to go.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Did you not finish?
Follow up.
Okay.
What was the area where those that weren't successful, what was the area that they had the most difficult with?
Most students struggle with the math section. And that's kind of been a trend no matter what test that each student is taking. So yes, the math section is the one that has the most difficulty.
Follow up.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Thanks
what,
for letting me know. Yes.
and what happens, God forbid, that they are not successful and the year and graduation time comes? What happens to those students?
We have to keep trying.
I will say that we are getting ready to offer a Saturday session to target said students, and also during our intersession block in March, we're targeting said students to provide the additional support and intervention and remediation so that they will be successful come spring. I will say too that our math scores improved tremendously from the fall, so we're trending in the right direction, getting those said students so that they will be successful for the spring.
I feel better. So you mentioned it's 3 sections and a lot of them just weren't successful in one area. Do they have to take the whole thing over or just the section that?
Just the one
That's
section.
helpful.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm a little concerned about the WISE numbers going down so drastically this fall. Usually if you go back and look, you can kind of usually figure out if it was attendance or maybe we had a brand new teacher that never taught this curriculum before and they're learning it. I mean, is there, because going from 78 to 72, not so bad, but dropping down to less than half. And is that a graduation requirement? The WISE test?
The WISE test is where most of our students get their industry certification for graduation. So if the students pass this WISE test, then they are not.
They're good to go.
They're good. Yes,
Okay, but have we gone back and tried to analyze what happened for a semester with those 59 kids? And
Our business teachers have had their little PLCs and they have been discussing different strategies that work for one teacher versus another teacher, or maybe this set of kids versus that set of kids. So they have been communicating and they are sharing a lot of their different strategies.
Because I know attendance, if the kids don't come to school, that kills you.
And I was gonna say that that's one of the factors, in looking at the data, that's one of the factors that contributed to the decline, because the students have been out quarantining for 10 days. And some of them were so sick that they could not get on their LMS to do their assignments, so they're playing catch up. So.
Right, okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
It's pretty close to public participation at 5:30, so like 2 or 3 minutes. So we'll wait to come back to the other academic discussion. Is that all right?
I can do it quickly.
Oh, you can do it quickly?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we'll keep going.
The other academic discussion has to do just with our corrective action update.
Okay.
And I believe he just slipped out, I think he put his computer down, but if you look at the update, what you have, I shared with you the agenda from the January meeting. We received feedback, generally positive feedback from the state. So you have in your executive content just any feedback that was given to us from the state. The other part was today, I again spent the morning with Dr. Sammy Shields, and we met him during introductions earlier. We talked about recruitments, strategies, we talked about PLCs, we talked about instruction. Very, very productive meeting this morning through early afternoon. He intends to visit he was here today. Finally, we submitted a comprehensive report to the Office of School Quality that is a compilation of information that we have been sharing all along. So OSQ is changing its format. Usually they take the agendas and they give a very truncated, if you will, a truncated summary, and they present that to the state board. I believe the state board has decided that they want something more individualized, and as a result of their feedback to OSQ, what has happened is we have then created another summary document that we shared with OSQ on January 31st. So again, OSQ is the Office of School Quality. So the other piece that you see in your executive content is that narrative. It's more of a narrative summary. It does in fact have some numbers attached to it. Part of it is quantitative, but in general it is a summary, a narrative summary of what we've been doing. In that you will see areas around academic progress, chronic absenteeism, graduation completion, staffing, professional development, the walkthroughs that we've been doing, and intervention monitoring. Again, we just wanted to share everything with you. OSQ has provided us with their report. We are just going through their report now, looking at it for accuracy, making sure that all the information we sent them is now accurate for the state. And we have until February, is it 14th, Dr. Wallace? I believe it's the 14th. No, is it the 14th? I think it's next week sometime, just to make sure that it's accurate. But we are moving along. We're also going to look at the progress matrix at our next meeting. And I believe I added a copy of the progress matrix, and where it, did I? Yes, I think it's at the end of the progress matrix, where it says executive liaison, that it was our previous executive liaison, Dr. Cox. He did that. I'm sure that we'll do it again at the end of the year, but we are making progress, and we're very pleased with that. That's it.
Any questions for Dr. Johnson? Dr. Clerk.
I have one question. After you talk about the CMP, every time you say they will improve, okay, that's a qualitative or is it a quantitative?
It's a combination of both. A lot of it is qualitative. If you look at our corrective action plan, there are certain things that are not quantitative but have to do with infrastructure. So, for instance, we had to write a curriculum for the division. That's not quantitative, but that's just about done. We had to make sure that we had performance assessments and different types of assessments, a balanced assessment program. That's in there as well. There is a piece around recruitment, that right now in our recruitment plans, that's all qualitative. At the end, though, with recruitment, we'll see if those things worked, and then that part will become quantitative. So it is a combination. When you look at our benchmark scores, for instance, we're mentioning math and high school math. That's one of our quantitative pieces. So when I say that we're improving, I'm saying we're making progress towards all of those interim items that are in that corrective action plan, and there are quite a few. So that's what I mean. Some of them are quantitative, but a lot of them are qualitative.
Any other questions? Board members?
Thank you.
It's time for public participation. You do have two people. Mr. Blakey, please give us your name, address, and hello.
Hello. Josh Blakely, 438 Timber Creek Drive in Farmville, Virginia. Madam Chairperson, Dr. Johnson, and members of the school board, I have some prepared remarks, as I usually do when I show up here. But I also can't help but take a moment to say thank you for your discussion earlier. To listen to you all engaged in the work of governing this school system has been inspiring this evening. To hear you talk about being at the Board of Supervisors meeting or listening in on the Board of Supervisors meeting and closely tracking those efforts has been amazing. To hear you talk about the mask mandate or the mask requirements and to unanimously affirm that, as a parent, I give you thanks for holding that in place. And I have also been following the data, and I know that it's not always a great correlation, but I've also seen some of the data that shows that there is a correlation between mask wearing and lower transmission rates. Whether that's causation or not is different, of course. Correlation is not causation, but I think that it shows a dedication towards public health and caring for the least of these among us, that you would keep this in place right now as we continue to study this. So thank you.
Mr. Blakey, just let me remind you, you're 5 minutes.
I will talk quicker. So I've had many conversations about our school system over the last year as I've become a louder voice here in these meetings. But there are two in particular that I'd like to relay to you. The first happened this past Saturday at my son's basketball game. As we sat talking with some of the other parents, one young mom asked my wife and me if we live in Prince Edward County and send our kids to the county schools. We said we do, and she asked us how we liked it. As we told her about the positive parts of our experience, she disclosed to us that she was new in town, and when her husband was hired, his new company had admonished him to not move to Prince Edward precisely because of the school system. She reported that she lives in Charlotte County and feels disconnected from her community, unable to make friends or get involved. The second conversation happened just today with a coworker. She and her husband are the proud parents of an awesome 3-year-old who will soon become a little eagle. She too has been told to leave the county in anticipation of a negative experience with the schools. Instead, she proudly declared today, "No, I don't want to leave. I want to fight." My friends, it has been my experience that there is no stronger fight than a mama advocating for her child. You and I know we are currently in a fight to open an avenue for addressing the deficiencies in our schools. We have the vision of a nice renovated elementary school on the distant horizon and the potential for addressing the high school thereafter, but our options for funding are limited. As you know, our current gambit is a tax revenue. But as I've asked from the beginning of this, what is the plan for if that fails? I'm confident that you have been speaking to the same lawmakers and elected officials that I have in Richmond, who are casually recording our plea to reconsider House Bill 63 with some amount of detachment and boredom. To them, this is just another pro forma legislative piece of paper to move around the board of wins and losses. But to us in this community, this is existential. This is our children's future. I know that you know what is at stake in this next month and year because I know you care about the education of Prince Edward's children. As part of our efforts, the Prince Edward Advocates has offered a forum to create talking points for citizens as they make their calls to Richmond. By way of exhortation and encouragement in your efforts, I'd like to present you with some of your constituents' reasons for their phone calls and emails as drawn from their own words. A local pastor says, "I care because our children can't learn in classrooms that are in poor condition. Teachers can't teach in such classrooms. What message does it send to students, faculty, and staff at PECPS that they're forced to do the work of teaching and learning in subpar conditions?" From a local retired police officer, a man of color who has lived in this area for a long time, "Please do whatever is necessary to assist in improving school buildings in Prince Edward County. Please be bold enough to do what the local elected officials were not bold enough to do in 1959, when it closed the public schools in Prince Edward for 5 long years. I implore you to provide the leadership you were elected to provide." They go on from grandmothers, area mothers of school children, parents, citizens, all. I know that I am preaching to the choir here. You all believe in the value of first-rate public education, or you wouldn't be putting in all of this time and effort serving in a largely thankless public service role. But I'm giving voice to these advocates to continue to stoke the fire in your hearts to champion the cause. And if I'm being completely honest, I'm also giving voice to the people who have felt alone in their frustrations or stuck in their efforts. I'm saying all of this out loud in this meeting to put it on record, and for those listening in to know that there is a community of citizens who believe that there can be a better way. If you are ready to fight for our children, like that mama I mentioned earlier, or the many people who are stepping up, you are in good company. Make your voices heard through calls or emails, letters to delegates, or letters to the editor. If you need help with talking points or who to contact, you can find those on the Prince Edward Advocates page, my personal account, or you all in this room are resources for those at home. Here in Prince Edward County, our greatest strength is our community, and now is the time to show that to the Commonwealth. As a county, we may not have gotten this right in 1959, but this time we can. This time we can create schools that serve all. This time we can do right by our children. This time we can lead. Don't cede your authority or the agency in this to others who would tell you it's not time, or we're not able to right now. No, this time we can do this right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We have another person, that Chelsea Mitchell.
This is the first time I've been at a
Okay.
meeting,
Well,
so
That's okay.
bear with me.
Okay, let me just tell you, give us your address, Chelsea Mitchell.
It's Chelsea Mitchell, 16 Mitchell Drive. I'm in Prospect, Virginia.
Okay, and you have 5 minutes.
Okay. I am a mother of a second grader that is currently enrolled, and I have another one that is getting ready to start this fall. Well, as a mother, you talk about parents that love their children. Well, I'm actually speaking on the mask situations. I am for people that agree with masks, but I am one that I do not. I believe that as a parent, I should have a right, as the governor says, I should have a right to be able to tell whether my child can wear a mask or not wear a mask. I don't feel like that's a right that the school should have to tell me that my child has to, especially since the governor has given me as a parent the right back to my child. Our community is supposed to thrive on teaching our children to be strong and know their rights and fight for their rights. But yet, us as parents, right now, we're kind of letting them down because I'm not fighting for mine. Well, today I'm standing up to do that. And I understand there's a lot of people that agree with the mask mandates, and that's perfectly fine. If you want your child to wear them, that's great. But me, I feel like it really doesn't do a whole lot. There's actually been studies that say that the masks don't do complete away from getting COVID. It still spreads. It's going to. It's like a cold. It's like a flu. It's going to spread. We can do everything we can to prevent that. But preventing our children from breathing freely every day at school for long periods of time, it's not right. It's not healthy. It's not. We've already got them 6 feet apart. Let them be apart. Give them space. I'm perfectly fine with that. But our teachers need to see our kids' faces again. They miss that, and I know they do. I miss seeing the kids running around, and you see smiles and everything else. And we need that again. Our children need that again. They need some normalcy. I pay for my child's insurance. I'm responsible for everything that they do. If they don't come to school, I'm responsible for it. Well, I should be responsible for this as well. And I'm sure there's a lot of other parents that agree with that. It's our God-given right and authority to have that right from our child. The previous governor had mandated masks in the schools, and the schools immediately jumped and said, okay, we're going to follow this mandate. It's not a law, it's just a mandate, okay? But everybody jumped on board. That's what we need to do. Well, as soon as the new governor comes in and gives the parents the right back, y'all immediately stop even thinking about it. Our current counties surrounding us, I only know of maybe 1 or 2 that haven't given the rights back to the kids. To the kids' parents. And my child, even at 8 years old, has told me, Mama, I can't breathe in a mask. Can I please not wear it anymore? The governor says I don't have to. And I have to look at her every day and say, honey, you have to still, because your school is still telling you, even though all these other ones aren't, your school is still telling you that you have to wear a mask every day. And I don't feel like that's right. I'm feeling like I'm suppressing my child from her right and her wants and everything else. And we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to teach them to be strong and fight for things. And I feel like we need to revisit this now instead of waiting till August or September, because it's not going to get better. I hate to say that, but it's gonna keep going the same way, and it's gonna keep spreading because it's a cold. It's gonna keep doing it, but we need to let our kids breathe again. And we need to think about this now, not when the kids are coming back to school, because the governor 2.5 weeks ago told us that they didn't have to anymore. So I feel like 2.5 weeks ago, my child should have been able to come to school without a mask on. And me still not having to force her to wear it. So if I could, please, y'all please revisit this, because this needs to be done. I mean, we need to allow our kids to have that choice again. They really need the choice. So I'm not saying that parents that say masks are good are bad parents, by no means, because everybody is entitled to their opinion. Everybody is entitled to their life. But the parents that do not want their kids wearing masks, they need to have that right.
All right. 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank
you.
Thank you.
There's no one else on the list who signed up to speak. Okay. All right, we'll keep going here. Calendar, yes.
If you take a look at our calendar for February, early dismissal for students is February 10th. That is a parent-teacher conference day. And the 11th is one of our makeup days for September 1st. February 15th is a joint finance committee meeting. I want to clarify some things with that. With the joint finance committee meeting, that's our finance committee and the finance committee from the board of supervisors. We meet with Mr. Stanley and myself and Ms. Jones. We meet to discuss preliminarily what we are thinking as a division with the board of supervisors. So it is not a meeting where the entire school board is expected and required to attend. It's a joint finance committee meeting. What I typically do, and will do this time, is we talked about certain things at our finance committee meeting. I will clean the packet up that I presented to you. I will take certain things out, update certain things that were not updated, and I will send you via email what I plan to present to the board of supervisors. So I always send that document because I don't get to see you prior to meeting with the boards of supervisors. I will send that document to you. Unfortunately, I don't know what the 14th is. Is that a Wednesday? 15th. I mean 15th. I'm sorry.
It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday. So unfortunately, you may not get it until Monday. I apologize for that, but it's already Wednesday, and there's some other pieces that we have to put in. So, but it is very preliminary. Then we meet again on the 23rd. And on the 23rd, that's the school board's finance committee meeting, where we will then continue with the discussions that we started at our last meeting, so that we can narrow down more specifically where we're going, what we're doing. So I just wanted to point out those two pieces. Also want to point out that the 17th, remember that we had to move our academic jacket ceremony. It is now the 17th. It is still in the auditorium at the high school. The 23rd, let's see, that's our meeting. I've already mentioned that. Wherever you see joint finance committee meeting, that's just what I said. It's the board of supervisors and the school board finance committees. Let's see here. Oh wow, I feel like we're moving so quickly because the March piece is here. The end of the third 9 weeks is March 17th. That's a little more than a month away. And let's see, the final budget, well, the budget that will be submitted to the county administrator is March 25th. I want to make it clear that the budget that we are working with now was the former governor's budget. We do not have our current governor's budget yet. What we have been told by the Department of Ed is that we can expect that tool that has the information from the new governor or the current governor, we can expect that tool somewhere between February 20th and March 1st. So that's a ways away, really. So we're still working with numbers that that may drastically change. So I just want to make sure that I point that out, and so it may be a lot of, I don't want to say last minute work because we're doing all of our pre-work, but things may drastically change. And I may ask Ms. Carson if she will request an additional meeting from you if things change very much, that then we'll have to alter what our general plans are. Just to say in general that as we continue to work with budget, we are looking at things like, we are looking at compensation, that was in the previous governor's budget. We are looking at making sure that we have social, emotional supports for our children. We're trying to make sure that we have addressed, of course, our healthcare needs and a few other pieces, as all of you know. But I just want to say that because at some point we will have, I don't think we've put it down here, we will have a public forum around budget. And so I will put some general pieces out so that people have the opportunity to come and discuss budget. So, in general, that's what I have to say.
Is that it? Yes, I have. All right. Any questions about the calendar? All right, we're gonna move on. Board member comments. I'm sorry, I'm doing it again. Go ahead.
I'd like to just make a comment that as we're making our decisions, we really do have to make sure that we look at we have to look at our situation here. We have a lot of absenteeism, and we have a lot of, and our students are continuing to fall behind, and we have a learning curve that we just have to pick up on. So we really have to be vigilant about keeping our kids in school. That's what we really have to really hunker down and do what it takes to keep our kids on track in school. And if it takes, requiring them to wear a mask, if it takes, requiring them to stay apart from each other, whatever it takes to keep our kids, because they can't, and it's individual. It's not, when one of them gets sick, they're out of school. And, and then some others are out of school with it. So we have, and then some of the staff is out. So we just have, even though, the virus is mitigating some, we just have to make sure that we do, it is coming, it looks like it's, even when we're going in that downward turn, we just have to, we have to look at Prince Edward. And we realize where Prince Edward is right now. And Prince Edward needs to work. We just need to work.
Dr. Clerk?
Yes. On January 24th and 25th, I attended the SBA Capital Conference. On 24th, the Secretary of Education said she will obey the governor's second executive order. She will expand the charter schools from 5 to 20. Next day, the Lieutenant Governor told us she will give vouchers to low-income families, and she will give parents the choice how to educate their students. Then during their presentation, some board members asked questions. Then the state superintendent said, first, she told the parents to listen to principals. Second, wait for the court decisions. Then and then I visited our delegate, James Edmonds' office. His aide met with me. Okay, so right now they talk the situation is very complicated. So and actually, then we just talk about the mask mandate. So for the mask mandate, first the Arlington Circuit Court just said that the governor doesn't have the authority to tell the local school board what to do. But then the Virginia Supreme Court made another decision. So it looks like it supports the governor's decision. And another one is finance. At first, as my understanding, actually I went to the Board of Supervisors meeting. Okay, before that I talked with the other Board of Supervisors. They mentioned the House Bill 63 was there on the table for 5-3 votes. Basically, it's killed in the House, temporary right now. But according to Edmund team, they mentioned for the state senate, the rule is a little bit different. It was voted down by state senate, the finance committee, but 3 senate still can advance it to the floor and for the entire house to vote. So that's why right now we think that may be a chance for us to get the $35 million, but it's very hard. Okay, so then now actually the several Board of Supervisors visited Edmonds in person. Then Dr. Johnson also instruct Stanley to present at the General Assembly, and Dr. Johnson offered him the talk point. So, but right now we just hope we still can get $38 million. If it's not, the Board of Supervisors still has another backup plan. Okay, so but they just is a plan. So the other board, the BOS has to vote. So it's not voted yet because we didn't lose the chance for the General Assembly. So that's the situation right now.
Thank you. Dr. Bowman?
2 things, hopefully both real quick. And I apologize if this was reviewed during the budget meeting, but Mr. Walker, could you explain the new toys? Besides you there, and there.
Sure. In fact, I'll put the camera on myself. I can do that. So we had a company called Epitome Networks that we had contracted with. I found them through Longwood. They do work for Longwood University. And so they installed 2 mounted cameras where we could switch the view back and forth. And so there's 10 preset views that can see kind of any angle in the room, including the speaker. And it's all fed through here. There's also a microphone bar in the ceiling. Right there in the center of the ceiling, there's a bar now inside the ceiling. And there's new speakers as well, but that picks up the audio, and we can all stream it out to Facebook and YouTube. We're gonna look at YouTube as well. And we can also share the screen directly. We don't have to put a camera on the screen. We can just push out the screen itself. So like when Mr. Warman was speaking, I was switching back and forth between the screen and Mr. Warman. So some cool new things. It looks very professional, and hopefully that we get some positive feedback from Facebook viewers. But it is on Facebook right now.
You're controlling the camera?
Yes, this little panel controls it, and we'll see them adjust. So like, if you watch that camera right there, if I hit it, it'll turn to you, Dr. Barton.
He's got to be shot up there. She's got it.
So we're gonna make a couple little adjustments. I think get a new little podium over here and a couple little other, try to hide some more wires and stuff, and potentially look at what we can do about the wires out there. But that is the goal.
Neat.
Thank you. Really nice, thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Bowman.
And the other thing.
Yes.
So a couple of months ago, when you guys got your certificates of recognition for the continuing education, I was quite embarrassed that I did not have one. So I asked Ms. McConnell to look into it, and they had not given me credit, so I got my certificate. So at some point, whether it's a correction in the previous meeting minutes or present minutes. I would like that noted, please.
Oh.
And I'm done.
And just last but not least, I don't know what he's talking about, and I don't want to be on the bad list, so will y'all, send me whatever I need to do. And I'm assuming this is doing VBS trainings,
Yes.
and is so many we have to do per year?
I'm sorry.
Is there so many that we need to do per year?
No, I don't think it is.
I don't think there's
Just
so
whichever
many.
one you
I'm
want
sorry.
to do.
Right.
No, that's
Okay.
exactly what I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
just send me the information. And the last thing I want to say is I know that we are working really hard on the budget, but after our budget meeting, I went back and looked at how many openings we currently have and the anticipated openings that you gave me. And I asked Dr. Johnson, and she confirmed that we currently now have 13 openings because we just hired a science teacher, or is that 12?
12.
12, yeah.
12.
And 8 anticipated openings at the middle school. If we don't fill the 12 we've got, and those 8 really leave, and normally that number goes up, not down, because a lot of teachers hold their decisions close to their vest until the very last minute, we would have 20 openings at the middle school. Not enough teachers to really open, I don't think, probably. So I'm really encouraging that every dollar, in addition to what we have been spending, any additional funds, be aimed at recruitment. The job that you've done and your staff has done on the salary schedules is great, but we have got to figure out a way to have a package that doesn't just include salary, but is competitive benefits. And we've done now this, what I consider to be an outstanding teacher-friendly calendar. But we have the benefits package, as I talked about at the budget meeting, is atrocious. And so, because we can't just be as good as everyone else. In order to combat the kind of reputation that Mr. Blakely spoke of in his remarks, we have to be better. And we have to be able to attract new teachers. Similarly, I'm so thrilled to hear about the science teacher at the middle school who's coming with 5+ years of experience, because, anyway, that's it.
Anyone, Ms. Stiff?
I read an article that was posted on CNN, and it basically speaks very cautiously about the number of people going into teaching, into education. It left this hole in my soul that somewhere down the road there may not be enough teachers to go around. And for instance, they gave a couple of colleges where in the education department, teacher training education department, they only had 2 people. And another one, they only had 6 people. Yes, it's dire. So yes, I hear all of what we're saying about keeping, training, et cetera, teachers. We need to grab them quickly.
Yes.
That's my comment.
Amen.
Yes. Anyone else?
So, first, Dr. Grani, you stole all of my thunder. I wanted to share the new toys, but thank you very much. That is fine. Thank you very much to Mr. Walker and our staff. He has been working on this for a very long time, since we first had to start virtual meetings. And what really drives this is the fact that we recognized that our audience was not always able to hear us clearly, particularly with the mask. And so we still want to maintain safety, but we also wanted to make sure that everybody hears us. And so this is our solution. Thank you, Mr. Acevedo. Mr. Walker, and your team for this. So that's the first piece.
Yes.
Yes. It is really appreciated. Okay, the next thing has to do with our openings. Yes, I've read some of the articles that you all have read, and we also has a full layout of the status of teaching, education, where it's going. It can be quite disturbing, but I do want to say that we have started hiring teachers already for next year. And we are excited about that, but we started interviewing in January. It is very interesting, some of the questions that some of the applicants are asking. They are asking questions about compensation. They are asking questions about benefits. They are asking questions about resources in the community. Some of them, though we have hired some, and we will talk about that in our next board meeting. We'll talk about our strategies and things we've been doing. But some of them want to be in more urban, suburban areas because of resources. And so one of the things that we're also working on, and we probably need to work on with our Chamber of Commerce on selling not just the school system, but the area, because they are asking. So that's the first piece. I am cautiously optimistic that we will be in a different situation next year. I also wanted to share information around volunteering. You all asked last week about, or last month. Are you with us, Mr. Farley?
Yes, ma'am, I hear you.
Mr. Farley, we need you to get your CDL. So board members can volunteer.
Good.
You can't be paid, of course, volunteer, hence no payment, and, with direction and all of those other things, but you can volunteer. And I wanted to bring up again the request for proposal. I want to publicly state that we have received 5 requests for proposal for the elementary schools. So again, I recognize what is happening at a state level, but again, I am cautiously optimistic, and we are moving forward, because one way or the other, we are going to get this done. So we do have 5 proposals, and we, as a board, the school board decided, when we were doing our budget meeting, that 2 representatives from the school board, 2 representatives from the Board of Supervisors, 2 representatives from our ad hoc committee, plus me, Mr. Good, Mr. Stanley, and Ms. Jones, would sit on a committee to review the 5 packets that we have received. That is not to say that we don't share them with everyone, that we won't have joint meetings, etc., but at least to do that initial screening, that is what we agreed upon. I've shared that with Mr. Stanley. I'm sure that he has shared it with his board. At some point, I'm going to ask you, I didn't get it, I did last night. So, at some point, I will come to you, Ms. Carson, to say, Ms. Carson, I need 2 names. We're not quite there yet, but I do want to make it very, very clear that we're going to get this done. And we have our
A question, when you were talking to teachers, did they talk about housing? Because I know in Prince Edward County there's a problem with housing for teachers.
Some did. Yes, some did. They asked about housing. They didn't really ask about transportation. I think there's an assumption, particularly for those that we interviewed, the ones that want more of a urban, suburban area, they are not as worried about transportation and housing. But some of the others who are seriously looking at Prince Edward County Public Schools did ask about not just housing, but also transportation. All right, thank you, Ms. Carson.
You're welcome. Any other comments? All right, we're gonna move on to correspondence.
Excuse me. General correspondence is, of course, the letters that have gone out. You do have the letter there from Robinson, Farmer, and Cox and Associates, which conducted our audit. We will talk about our audit at our next meeting, but the bottom line is the part of the county audit that directly impacts or that the school system is directly responsible for was fine. Everything was clean with our audit. The one issue with our audit is that our end of the year school report was late. And it was late because an error continued to come up. And we cannot submit it with an error. So it took a while to find the error. But it had absolutely no fiscal implication for the county and no fiscal implication for our division. But it was late, and that's really the only finding. The other piece with the audit is this time, in the past, Robinson, Farmer, and Cox did not do our student activity funds audit, and they did do that this time. And the one thing that they discovered with that audit is that we need to make sure that I think we need to change our signing protocol of checks, just to make sure, in general, everything was fine, all the monies are fine, but we need to change our signing protocol. And so what I mean is, if, for instance, a principal went and purchased lunch or something for students as an incentive or reward, and that principal then puts in for reimbursement, that's gonna come out of the student activity fund. Well, if the principal is the one who signs the checks, then that's problematic, because you have no real controls. Again, everything is fine as far as all the monies and everything, but we need to change that part of our process. Didn't happen often, but one time is one time too many. So that was the one finding from the student activity funds. They didn't talk about that really last night. What they talked about was the overall county audit. And again, the one part of the county audit for which the division is responsible had to do with us submitting our end of year report. So that's what that is, and we'll talk more about it. One more thing, then I'll stop talking. There was a question, if you remember back in June, we asked the Board of Supervisors that any remaining funds that we had, that we be allowed to use for capital improvements. So now we are I'm waiting for the official letter and number and to find out what they are ultimately going to do about that. But by next month, we should have concretely some information from that. So I intend to ask Mr. Stanley. We had to wait until the report was finished. The report was given and shared in small group, then it was shared last night. So that is still in process. I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay. We're going to move on. We don't need to go back into closed session. Okay, so we need to vote on the things from closed session.
So if I may, I recommend that we do not release student A from compulsory attendance.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
And I recommend that the board accept and approve the personnel list as presented.
Accept that personnel list as presented. Second.
All in favor? That's it. I need Motion to adjourn?
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? All right. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Lee, I appreciate it.